1 year after their 2007 monster hit No Country for Old Men, the Coen Brothers are back with their first movie since that huge acclaimed cinematic masterpiece called Burn After Reading. And so we are going to review that movie today. We just finished watching it. So hi, I'm Eric with Cineblab.
I'm Chris with Cineblab.
And we're going to get right into it. So let's talk about a little bit of the background of this movie, right?
Right.
Coen Brothers, hugely successful, right? Like everybody knows the Coen Brothers. Fargo.
I'm relatively new to them.
Okay.
But I'm relatively new to a lot of movies that seem to be part of the American sphere.
Yeah, we're coming at this from a very different cultural background, so that's going to be part of the interest of this conversation. But producer, editor, writer, and director, the Coen Brothers on this one. This might be the movie where they had the most creative freedom that they've ever had in their entire careers. Obviously, 1 year after No Country for Old Men, right? Yeah. And what was it, 12 years after Fargo, I think, which was 1996 or 1998. I can't exactly remember.
Which I watched recently.
Yeah. Movie. And so, a very big movie this should be, right? After such that. So how do you follow up, the biggest movie of your career? Cinematographer on this one.
It's not easy for anyone.
No, certainly not. But we'll start with the cast on this one as well. This, like I mentioned, this is kind of an all-star cast.
All-star.
So we've got the big name, George Clooney, who plays Harry Farrer, which is a U.S. Marshal who's philandering on his wife and kind of spiraling into...
Is he still active, or was he retiring? Because I remember that there's a conversation where he says, I get to keep the gun.
I think that he's done. He was a U.S. Marshal, and now what's he going to do with the rest of his life as a former U.S. Marshal? Also starring as...
Never fired, 20 years.
Yeah, that's another thing that recurs all the time in this movie. They call it... there's a name for it when like a rifle is on the stage and there has to be a purpose for it. He says, I carry around a gun and I've never had to fire it in 20 years. And so it's almost like a security blanket. They've also got Frances McDormand, who plays the character Linda Litsky, and she works at a gym as a personal trainer in this movie.
The heart and soul of the movie.
Yeah, she's definitely the star of the movie and the central point of the movie. Everything revolves around the character of Linda. And a little bit of background, Frances McDormand has been married to one of the Coen brothers since 1984. Which
I found very surprising.
Yeah, Kubrick also married one of the actresses in one of his movies. So that's how they met. She auditioned for a movie they were doing in 1984. Yeah. And just instant hots for each other. So you love to see such a touching romantic story in Hollywood.
And you both come from an artist's point of view.
I mean, obviously, they the actress meeting the director, right?
Yeah.
So great performance from her, which we'll get into. And then another huge name, Brad Pitt. Who plays the character of Chad Feldheimer. He works at the gym with Lynette. Yeah, he really did great in this movie.
Incredible.
Loved him.
I never thought I would see him in this capacity.
Well, he's actually done this kind of character before, but not since the 90s. I feel like this is the first time he took the stoner slacker character out of the closet since the 90s for a reemergence here as the idiot gym trainer that's trying to get money, basically. He played a perfect idiot in this.
Yeah, he was really good.
Also got John Malkovich, who is another central character, plays a CIA analyst called Osborne Cox that gets demoted, or they attempt to demote him because he's got a drinking problem and it's causing problems, and he quits out of anger. How that story starts.
Anger seems to be the cornerstone of his character.
Yes, he's a one joke character in this movie. Yeah. One note, one joke character, which is I'm the angry guy. I'm the mad guy that you don't want to mess with. So great job.
Play upset.
He basically plays upset guy. Also got Tilda Swinton as well, who plays his wife, Katie Cox, who's a physician, a doctor for children in this one. And again, of course, she's cheating on him.
She definitely had some scenes, but she took a backseat for most of the movie.
It was a subdued performance in a lot of ways from Tilda Swinton.
I thought, if you get Tilda, you'll probably, you'll make her work. You'll get your money out of it.
I was a little bit confused, and I think that maybe she might have actually had the worst performance in the movie of the ensemble. Yeah, because her
character just was the
weakest
character.
She's the blasé, oh, that's fine, whatever. You know, you can be with me or you cannot be with me. You're acting upset right now, Harry. And I don't like it. You can't talk to me like I'm one of your buddies. You know, she was the English, like, pris and proper, kind of boring character.
She felt more like a plot device than a character.
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah. She was one note as well, but she was the blasé, I don't care character, basically.
Just great, though. I love her.
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't have imagined, like, a better person in that role. If you're going to be the English, like, I don't really give a crap character, give it to the pro, you know?
Give it to the pro.
Also had Richard Jenkins, who played the gym manager, so the boss of Linda and Chad. You know, Frances McDormand and Brad Pitt's characters in this.
I know I've seen him in multiple things, but I can't quite...
He looks like Kevin from The Office to me. He has, like, that, like, kind of, like, nice guy face.
Yeah.
You know, in a certain regard, like, he cares too much, you know, but he's a little on the slow side.
Yeah, I definitely remember him wearing like a trench coat. I don't know what, but I know for sure I've seen him wearing a trench coat.
Yeah, he's been in something. I don't know what it is either, Richard Jenkins. But I liked him in this movie. I thought that he was like probably the most sympathetic and like the only quote normal character. In he's basically like the emotional, the moral center of the story, even though he's not an important character. He's definitely a secondary character, but he's the only character that isn't like fundamentally effed up in this movie.
The story of this characters is fundamentally weaved together.
Oh, yeah.
And it's done in a precise and magnificent way. Yeah. And he was the only character that I thought was at all times on the outfields of this story. But... boy, was I wrong.
Yeah.
He weaves just like the rest of them.
Yeah, it's interesting how his involvement really grows. He actually has probably the best character arc. I would say best.
He's the best person. Yeah.
Yeah. So
out of all of them,
he was really like nice, and I think that broke up some of like the tension of like, why do I care about all these people, because everyone's just so shitty in this movie, and so he brought a little bit of heart back into. Sort of a heartless situation. But yeah, you also mentioned that how well all the characters like intertwine with each other. And so I guess we'll get into our first topic, which is like our hot takes of the movie. And so we'll start with that. And you mentioned sort of how the characters intertwine. So hot take, what do you think? Give me a quickie.
Straight off the bat, I would say, I would recommend this movie. I liked it a lot. I thought the characters were fun. I thought the way their plots intertwined with one another was masterfully executed. I love the score. Thought the score was great.
Yeah.
And the scenes, the acting, incredible performance by everyone around, including Brad Pitt. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. So I'm going to agree with you on that as well. But one of the things I think that's interesting about this movie is the location where it takes place. So in Washington, D.C., and so many... like people in the CIA or the FBI or like senators and the State Department in this. I think there was a lot of research that went into this that made this kind of interesting. Yeah. And this also was the year 2008, which was the year when like the financial crisis originally happened back then.
Yeah.
And so it was like a timely time to explain like everyone in government is a big, gigantic, like selfish jerk. And it's like, no wonder we're in such a horrible disaster right now. And like you're about to lose your house because these are the people that are like running everything. And so I think that was like a little bit of like their hot take on like what was going on in the world at that time, the political climate, which is like everyone is just like an untrustworthy idiot. You know, that was my take on it. Is like I was really immersed in it, and the world that they built was like basically the real world. I had no like reason to believe that any of this was far-fetched. It seems so real.
Yes,
all of this. Yeah,
definitely something that plausible.
100%. Yeah.
Even the chair that George Clooney made for his wife.
Okay, that's a scene. Okay, we're gonna skip ahead a little bit, but I want you to talk about the scene, which I think is like. Maybe the defining scene of the whole movie, which we'll call the chair scene.
So throughout the movie, I feel like they push their boundaries of what they can get away with.
Yep.
And they're always like right at the edge, but they never quite cross to like a complete absurdity.
Yeah.
But the way they walk the tightrope is in the story is incredible. this scene left me. I honestly didn't even know how I felt about the scene.
Yeah.
When I saw it.
I still don't know that I know how I feel about it.
But it is played off as a joke.
Yeah.
But in a way, it fundamentally tells you everything you need to know about this character.
So it's weird because like the character, George Clooney's character, which is Harry Farr, the U.S. Marshal, he's this tight buttoned up guy. He's cool as a cucumber. And so he's cheating on his wife. His wife is played by Elizabeth Marvel, Sandy Farr, and she's like a successful author of kids' books. He's cheating on her, so she goes away on a business trip to promote her book.
Yeah.
And
he looks down on her profession.
Yeah, he's sleeping with the character of Katie, originally cheating on his wife with Katie, which is the doctor, the CIA analyst.
He also seems to be dependent on her.
The
way that he talked.
He definitely took a back seat to like that relationship. She wears the pants in that future relationship. Neither of them are divorced yet. But it's also interesting because he clearly doesn't want to leave his wife. There's a scene
not at all.
where George Clooney calls his wife and he's like, "Baby, I miss you." And you can hear in his performance that he actually loves his wife. And that's after he has a fight that
he's like desperately seeking for like emotional support from her.
Yeah, and so he wants like support, like with whatever woman that he's in. He wants to be kind of babied a little bit. But the character of Katie, the doctor that he's cheating on his wife with, is such a hard ass that she's like, "Oh, don't be ridiculous right now. Oh, Harry, you need to grow up and put some pants on."
She's trying to. Because he keeps telling her that the affair is serious.
Oh, yeah. He does not want to be in a long-term relationship with her, but she wants to, like, immediately divorce her husband and immediately marry him. You could tell. And she pressures him just as much. And he's like, there's a great panic scene where he, like, realizes that, like, he's about to be trapped, with her. And then he starts this fake fight with her where he just all of a sudden storms out of her house and is like, "I can't believe you," like for no reason, like that you would talk to me like this, after allowing her to do it was seemingly forever, right?
That's enough carrots.
Oh yeah, he's cutting the carrots.
That's enough carrots.
But okay, so he leaves his relationship, with her, seemingly the character of Katie, and he immediately gets on his cell phone and tries to find another online girlfriend, and of course he meets Linda, the gym trainer in this movie. And I think that like that's basically the turn when things from the movie went from like relatively happy to relatively sad. That was sort of the moment where like the downfall starts to happen. But I think that we bounced around a little bit. Why don't you give a little like plot synopsis, let's say. Like, what's this movie actually about, and how do we get to the chair scene, like, properly? Which I've been dancing around now for minutes.
Well, we're treated to a day in the lives of these people, right?
Yeah.
Because it's not a grandiose plot. It's just a day in their lives, and how we follow them through this period of their lives, and their lives crumble, change, evolve. I would say it was more of a character.
Yeah.
Like a character drama.
Character-based drama.
Yeah. A character story. And we follow them around, and their stories all intertwine together to form like one cohesive narrative. But the way they do them is
like an intense or something? What do you mean?
I don't know how to say it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, as far as from my perspective, like with the way the characters are presented, it felt a little bit like one of these 70s movies where everything's like really real, you know what I mean? And there's like an earthy quality to them. Like you really go through the lives of these people, and there's a couple of like recurring motifs that happen too. Like in one scene, they're going. The character of Linda has a date, and she goes through this guy's wallet that she goes on a date with, before she meets Harry. And you learn a lot about that character by going through the wallet.
You pegged it right.
Yeah.
Because you said she was learning about him through his wallet. And in my mind, I was like, oh, she wants money for the surgery. Yeah. And I thought that she just dated him to like...
So let's go back to the beginning, okay? So the movie starts with, the character, which is John Malkovich's character, the Osborne Cox CIA analyst. And they tell him, you got a drinking problem. We're demoting you. And he goes, screw you guys. I quit the CIA. I'm going to go write my memoirs because he thinks he's so important that like his life story would sell, basically.
I would think so, right? You would expect that from a CIA agent.
But then his wife, who's been cheating on him, though, leaves him because, she's been cheating on him with George Clooney's character, who's the U.S. Marshal, for several months at this point, it seems like, or whatever. And so he basically, freaks out and quits his job, like I said, because of this, and starts writing this thing. And so she says, I'm going to divorce you. And then her lawyer says, all right, well, if you're going to divorce him, he's like a big guy. He's been at the CIA. He's got his finances in order. You need to steal a copy of all of the house's finances for the divorce trial that's coming up. I remember. Yeah, so she takes all of the files off of his computer in the basement, his work at home computer, puts it on a CD, and gives it to the assistant of her lawyer, which is an old lady at a lawyer's office. Yeah. And so she leaves the CD of the files on the floor of a gym, like a local gym. And that's where Brad Pitt and Frances McDormand's characters, Linda and Chad, find it on the floor of the locker room, pick it up, and they decide, hey, now that we've got this information, we think that it's top secret information.
The cleaner finds it, and he has one line.
Yes.
That
was an interesting character, that one line. Shout out to that cleaner character, for sure, at the gym. I don't know his name, but his character was vital.
Good. Yeah.
And so they decide they want money for this information, and so they try to blackmail.
They wanted to be good Samaritans and give it back to him. But the way he reacted to them, they were so upset at he being mad at them that they decided to switch their plan and ask for a ransom.
Well, another thing before this is the character of Linda reveals that she really wants to get a surgery. So one of the most central things to know about the character of Linda, who's the most important character of the movie, is that she's deeply vain and deeply insecure. And she's this body is about to give out. I've got rolls of fat on my stomach and all this and crow's feet or whatever it is. And so she gets a consultation. This body's
taking me as far as it could take me.
That's the line, yeah.
That's a pretty good line.
It was actually quite good. Yeah. And so she's super quirky in this, but she wants to get this surgery because she thinks it'll help her get more success with the dating apps or whatever, which is what she basically spends her free time when she's not at the gym going on dates. That's all that's perceived that her character does, basically. And so she wants this surgery and she needs a lot of money. And so she asks her boss
if she can have 4 surgeries.
Yeah, she asks the boss if she can have an advance at work or something like that. She tries to have her insurance pay for it, but they won't because it's an elective procedure instead of a medically necessary procedure. So where does she come up with the money from? And so that basically is the time that Brad Pitt's character picks it up, and she's like, we can split the money. We'll blackmail the guy. Well, they actually they don't want to be that mean to blackmail. It's not it's actually comedy. And so
they actually have a good relationship.
Yeah, no, they do. Chad really obviously likes the character of Linda, and Linda likes him too, but Linda uses him. Let's just.
You think so?
Oh, 100%. She sees him as a useful idiot. You know what I mean? She's a little bit smarter than he is.
I do think she thought highly of him because there's a part where she's having a conversation. Oh, when George Clooney's being after he got dumped and they're having a conversation and she goes oh, you're being a downer and I don't need this right now, and he a go-getter like Chad.
That's another psychological insight about the character of Linda is she can't deal with negativity. She needs to have positivity in her life because any amount of negativity will send her back to her dark place and she'll freak out. So she avoids any negativity whenever possible and tries to be falsely positive, relentlessly positive as a self-defense mechanism. Yeah. And so
there's that line earlier in the movie about that.
And so that is another interesting thing about her. She's greedy, she's vain, she's insecure, and she can't handle any amount of criticism, basically. So that's her character. In addition to quirky one-liners and cute looks, basically. That's the character of Linda. And
she also got quite the character too, though, a strong character.
I mean, she definitely is strong to be able to go through some of the things that she. And
she rammed the car.
There's some bad things that happen to her a little bit later, and she stays goal focused always. Her goal is always, I must get this surgery.
She's very
no matter what bad things happen to her, get the surgery.
Yeah, she's a go-getter for sure.
So that's the main conflict of this movie is that a surgery needs to be gotten by the character of Linda, and Linda will do anything to get the surgery. So she gets Chad to try to blackmail, in nice means from Osborne Cox to get money to pay for the surgery and to give a little to him for helping, basically. But they try to blackmail him and it doesn't work. Brad Pitt gets punched in the face. He tries to blackmail him. And so then they tried to sell the data to a Russian embassy, to sell it to the Russians to try to get the money. Like, they're so dogged that they'll literally betray their own country, and go to jail forever as traitors for surgery.
Yeah, for cosmetic surgery.
And so that said a lot about this character for sure. Yeah. And so ultimately, Brad Pitt's character doesn't succeed in getting any more data, because she gives it to the Russians and they tell the Russians, well, we'll give you more data. This is just the beginning of the data. So now she needs Brad Pitt to go get more. So she tells him to break into the house, which is the house of Osborne Cox and his wife Katie, and he goes in the basement and gets it. But at that time, as you know, Katie and Osborne had broken up, because he quit his job from the CIA, so she should get the F out.
Yes, she served him divorce papers, changed the locks.
Yeah, changed the locks and everything, so he can't even get in the house. He tries to get in the house and he can't. So her boyfriend, who she thinks is her boyfriend, George Clooney, comes by after a run in the house and basically takes a shower and is looking for like a shirt or like his gun holster, which he keeps in the closet. And so he opens the closet, sees Brad Pitt in there, and instinctively shoots him right in the head, kills him immediately, cold dead. Which
I could not have imagined that happening.
That was like the movie was so funny up until that moment. He blasts him in the head, his brains go everywhere.
The moment was so serious. Yeah, the tone, how it changed the tone was in like 180, complete 180.
It was amazing. I loved Brad Pitt's character in this movie, the Chad character. He's so goofy and so dumb and like so bumbling. But
at the same time, I felt like he served his purpose.
Yeah, I think that the shock of that scene was similar to Pulp Fiction, where they accidentally shoot the guy in the back seat. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I felt like that was a similar like cinematic surprise as the accidental head exploding scene. Yes. And so this triggers a huge amount of panic in George Clooney's character, because he thinks like, now there's a spy after me. He looks through the wallet of Brad Pitt's character, and there's nothing in his wallet, no identification. Looks in his suit, all the tags have been cut out of the suit, and so he's like, this is a secret operative that's out trying to kill me. So he's convinced now someone's out to kill him after this.
He says it's a spook.
He calls him a spook.
It was
which is like a term for a secret agent, I guess. I guess. I never heard it.
Me neither.
But anyway,
that scene he has there after he shoots him. An incredible performance by George Clooney. But that's just one of many of his performances in this movie. He was phenomenal.
Let's talk about another standout George Clooney performance in this, which I think was maybe his best in the movie. At the end of the movie, he meets with the character of Linda again after he breaks up with the character of Katie, the doctor. Yeah. And he finds out that his actual wife, the author, the children's book author, has been cheating on him too. He turns to her and he's like, my divorce is over or whatever. They're sitting at a bench in the park. Yeah. Like, what should I do? And she sees that another guy that she went on a date with before is also there meeting another girl. And that's where everybody goes.
No, when they're on the bench.
But this performance from George
He's on the
Clooney.
come up when they're on the bench.
The come up?
Yeah, because he had been depressed before.
Oh, yeah.
And that's when he met her at her house. And she's wearing pajamas. And then they show them again afterwards, and they're on the bench, and they're like all chummy. Like they've been at this. It feels like they've been at it for a while now. And George Clooney's on the come up saying like, "Oh, I was stuck in the past, but now I decided that I'm gonna start moving forward." Yeah. Or something of that kind.
Another thing that I forgot to mention is that she's worried because she hasn't heard from Brad Pitt's character in a few days. So she asks George Clooney's character to like find out what happened, because he's in the government, so he can find out. And so he comes there to talk about that too. And she's like, "Did you find anything out about him?" And he's like, "Well, where was he last?" And she goes, "Oh, at the house of Osborne Cox." And he freaks
that's what he finds out.
Yeah. He's like, "How do you know that address? Like, do you know who I am? Who are you? Who do you work for?"
And they have been following him.
Yeah, he's
for
paranoid.
A while now.
Well, he's paranoid. He thinks that people have been following him. There was a scene earlier. It was a divorce lawyer that was following him, not like the government. But he thinks the government's after him. Yeah. And so he thinks that every person walking by is a secret operative about to kidnap him. And so he has this panic scene here.
And then I feel like Linda kind of imitates that near the end as well. But she was being followed.
Yeah, she actually was.
She actually had people
being followed. Yeah. But his eyes they bugged out of his head, and he's freaking out, and he's hyperventilating and everything.
That's his last scene, right?
He just I think that is his last scene in the movie. That you actually see him. They do talk about him after that. But after that, basically, she is driving down the road, the character of Linda, and she's surrounded on all sides of her car when she comes to a stoplight by secret agents as well.
She has a chopper.
Yeah, and she has the chopper up above a helicopter looking down, and she's like, "Oh my goodness," in her like quirky kind of way.
Yeah, she still seems pretty not phased by it, doesn't she?
But another thing,
I think she smiles.
I mentioned she's like a relentless.
Yes,
the owner of the gym as well. Her boss at the gym, the character of Ted, played by Richard Jenkins. She also convinces him, manipulates him to do what Brad Pitt's character wasn't able to do, go into the house and get the information. And you remember the last time she sent someone to the house, he got blasted in the head by George Clooney. And so this time, innocent Ted, who's such a nice guy, goes in the basement, and at that time...
How does she convinces them to do this?
I don't know. Like they all have.
How
a crush
does she convinces people to break an answer?
They must have a crush on her, or like want to be friends with her. Like they want. She has a magnetic personality that people are drawn to. The character of Linda, and like she's able to manipulate people into doing anything that she wants to do, which is amazing.
Yeah,
like that's her power in this movie is that she can convince anyone to do anything, despite with her country bumpkin kind of sensibilities. But so Ted goes into the house to try to steal more information for her to get money for her surgery. And who comes and breaks into the house but John Malkovich's character, the disgruntled husband that just got served divorce papers. He finds him in the basement and he goes, "Are you my wife's lover?" And he goes, "No." And he starts just beating on him. He shoots him first in the shoulder. And he,
he's been building
a stapler and throws it at him, at Ted to try to escape the house. And then he goes out into the street with a hatchet. John Malkovich has fallen him and beats him to death in the street. And so we find out that one of the people that was spying, on the house, one of the CIA operatives, stepped in and actually had to shoot John Malkovich's character to try to stop him from killing this guy.
Which this all happens off screen.
We're told this part right here about the intervention of the CIA agent. So the CIA captures the character of Linda, hides up the death of Brad Pitt's character, catches George Clooney when he's trying to flee the United States because he thinks someone's about to kill him. Going to Venezuela, which doesn't have an extradition treaty.
They hide both bodies. They hide Ted and Brad Pitt.
Yeah, they do. And they cover up Ted's murder too.
Up both their murders.
And so Linda's gotten 2 people killed and ruined George Clooney's life, force him to flee the United States and everything. And so she gets kidnapped by the FBI, the CIA, and they're like, and she's like, "Just pay for my surgery, and I won't say nothing." Mm-hmm. And they're like, "Okay, cool, we're gonna pay for your surgery." So at the end of the day, she gets her surgery.
She gets what she wanted.
Finally, we all got that warm, happy feeling for the lead character in our movie getting what their heart desired.
Finally, yeah.
Even though a few people had to die,
she was happily ever after.
No, definitely. So that's the plot basically, and so I mean, what did you think about the dastardliness of the character of Linda and everyone, all the cheating that was going on,
Well, never at any point did I feel like any of the characters were particularly likable.
Yeah.
I thought there was good performances that made me like them.
Yeah, right.
Performance-wise, but the characters, none of these people were great people. Yeah. I would say that I did not expect the story to weave in the way it did.
Right.
It was, like I said before, it was exceedingly intertwined. And the way the characters mingled with each other and how the story linked everything together, how the wife from John Malkovich stole the files.
Yeah.
They dropped the files in the gym. Frances McDormand is in a position where she needs money, and this just drops on her lap. Yeah. And she just from a good act spans a moment of desperation and necessity for her.
I mean, John Malkovich is supposed to be the victim. He's the one that they're extorting for money, but you hate John Malkovich's character. Yeah. But you love
he was bubbling, you love sipping in his hate the whole time.
Yeah. He was an unlikable guy.
He just exploded on Ted.
But he's the only guy that wasn't cheating on his wife. His only problem is that he had an alleged drinking problem, right? He's supposed to be the good guy, but they write him in such a way that you despise him.
That is true. He's very unlikable. He's aggro.
Yeah. Have you ever known anybody like that? A person that hates everything, like a Linda, a master manipulator, or a John Malkovich, just a person that hates everything in every situation?
I have a friend that I think he's a hater, but I wouldn't.
Not John Malkovich level.
He's not. Yeah.
So we got a few seconds left. Give me your final review on this one. Review and score.
Honestly, this is a really fun movie. It's a great watch. I would recommend it. Like if you have some time.
What's your score though?
I would give it probably like an 8.
I'm also going to give this 8 out of 10. It was a little weird, it was a little goofy, but I really enjoyed it.